Military detainees aboard our secret battle station have broken free. They must not escape.
Here's stock footage from episode 4.
Also, yeah, where's Darth Vader doing that? Prison break.
A contingent of rebel prisoners have escaped from their cells. Making matters worse is the fact they have also managed to steal the technical readouts to the Death Star. Eliminate the prisoners and secure the plans before they are beamed off station.
Yes, this is absolutely the team that has stolen the plans to the Death Star.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I remember how that's not what happened. I know that the easy thing to say, it's because in Rogue One happened. No, remember, Dark Forces had been released years before this, and it told that it was Kyle Katarn who did it as a solo mission. So this particular mission is contradicting a couple of things. Here it says that the rebel spies actually organized a suicide mission to get it, similar a bit to Rogue One, just on board of the Death Star. So I don't know what happened.
I can't even joke and say
prison break.
I can't even joke and say that these guys were those rebels aboard the ship from Star Wars Galactic Cruiser, since that's meant to take place during the sequel trilogy.
No, okay, again, let's not kid ourselves. Yes, it is true that Disney excising the Legends stuff, was, as you said, Jola, basically using an axe when it would have been required a surgeon's scalpel. But let's not kid ourselves that by that point, the Legends, continuity had become a bit of a mess because a lot of stuff was potentially contradicting each other, and particularly the more important stuff.
Yeah, about 1/3 of the way into the Imperial campaign, we're finally fighting the Rebel Alliance.
Okay, you do raise a good point. Like, again, I'm not satisfied with the job they did in supposedly trying to clean things up, but yeah, no one can deny continuity was a bit of a miss, mainly with the expanded universe. I think this also had part of the fact to do with, you had some of the books, some of the comics which were licensed out to different companies. Like, one thing people need to realize is that Star Wars is big enough to be literally its own brand, essentially. Like, yes, equivalent to Marvel, essentially, where certain sections of it could be sold off to certain people here and there, and I think that's part of the reason why we would sometimes get different takes or retcons or whatnot based on the media. Again, like we've mentioned before, Shakti's many different retcon deaths, some of which could differ from novel, video game, comic, deleted scene, you name it. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if ultimately it's revealed that she's still alive.
I mean, to be fair, Jedi...
The other things are lying.
Jedi surviving Order 66 has become basically everyone's favorite sport. It's kind of like Kryptonians surviving the destruction of their planets, pre-Crisis on Infinite Earth, so...
when you think about it, Palps, Order 66 was well planned, maybe not as effective as he had wished.
Now, to be fair, it's going from one extreme to the other. I can't believe some Jedi somewhere were strong and /or smart enough to outgun and destroy the newly Imperial troopers that were assigned to kill them and then run away. I can't believe what episode 3 tells me, that everyone basically got killed outside of just a few characters. That's really a bit unrealistic. But the side material tends to go through the opposite way to say that a fuck ton of people survived out of nowhere, almost making the entire order seeming almost pointless.
It's admittedly one of those side effects of when you're trying to hook up a prequel to the originals or whatnot. It's like, when you make characters this cool and awesome in the prequels who have to die, yeah, in some cases you feel like they job when they finally do die.
So in terms of the origin of how the rebels got their hands on the Death Star plans, do you prefer something like this, or what we got in Rogue One?
Dark Forces. Like, I like Rogue One still as a story, but Dark Forces basically tells the story of a rebel smuggler equivalent of a Doom Marine, basically armed with just a few blasters, managing to do the impossible because he's just that cool.
Admit, part of me is kind of surprised that they didn't just make Rogue One like an adaptation of Dark Forces, since that was pretty awesome.
Okay, apparently, I don't have anything to confirm that, I haven't checked Wikipedia on the matter. Apparently Kal-Katarn is in the new canon, and some stuff from the Jedi Knight game, which are the follow-up to Dark Forces, did have in some capacity. But apparently he's one of the people that got killed by Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren during the night of the rebellion.
There we are. We've got the plans back.
Which is
well, we've got the plans. I just got to bring them back over there, where I'm sure they won't get lost again.
My point being, it seems particularly weird what they did with Kal-Katarn for the new canon. I don't even know if it's that completely true or not.
The weird thing is, if they had him die just like that, not even like worth a mention in the movies, it's such a weird sporadic thing to do. Like, what, to show that Kylo Ren was that cool and boss? Again, mind you, the only people who would really know that are fans who would really want Kal-Katarn back, so that kind of feels like that would just piss them off more. When it comes to getting the Death Star plans here, I kind of lean more towards Dark Forces. I'm kind of coming around on Rogue One, but I can't deny, Rogue One still has that issue that I can't bring myself to care too much about the main characters, and I feel like the movie itself knows you won't care much because you know they're probably gonna die. Like, again, when people talk fondly about Rogue One, it's mainly because of the Vader scenes, most notably, the hallway sequence and whatnot. And Rogue One does kind of make it hilarious that Leia was trying to pass off her ship as just a daily excursion, even though Vader literally saw those rebels board it.
She's not a very good liar.
Also, I
did get that from her father.
Also, I did like some of the characters, like Andor or I forgot the Blind Master.
The rebels have infiltrated Hangar 85G and are preparing to escape in one of the shuttles. Get to the hangar and take out that shuttle before it takes off.
The guy who's going to blow up your escape attempt literally just went right past you.
It's fine.
As far as they know, he's just a faceless soldier among the masses.
So are you.
Hey! Leia tells us that we're just as much important as everyone, okay?
She says that to everybody. It means nothing.
What is the Stormtrooper variant, Dwibs?
Shock Trooper, I believe, or yeah, I can't remember the name exactly.
Oh,
but
right.
He's basically the heavy weapons guy.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, no, like when you really consider, okay, so considering the continuity of the Andor series, Rogue One, and A New Hope, the Empire had its worst week, essentially, all because one guy got really spurned on by a trooper tripping him the wrong way when you think about it. It's a simplification, but it's funny to think about it like that.
Another Jedi?
Destroy this man. Now.
Surprise!
Oh yeah, these Jedi are fucking relentless.
That was the entire point of The Force Awakens, that Starkiller was going to clean up the mess that was left.
Well done, Lord Vader will be most pleased with your performance.
Which, you know, makes sense.
About that, Vader will be pleased with our performance. Well, the very next cutscene...
One cutscene later...
After the embarrassment of the prison break, Lord Vader removed us from our comfortable belay and began dragging the 501st across the galaxy in a dangerous hunt for the now missing Death Star plans.
But I thought we just rescued those.
Punishment eventually proved to be our salvation. poor souls who took our place in the detention area were completely wiped out when the Death Star was destroyed.
Oh well.
So in a way, Vader did reward you guys
the
by
Force
you getting
works
to
in
survive.
mysterious ways.
Yeah.
All right, now back to a prequel environment, Polis Massa, where they track the Death Star plans to here.
The Death Star plans have not been secured as previously thought. Imperial intelligence has tracked the plans to a small rebel outpost in the Polis Massa system. Recover the plans and destroy the rebel outpost.
I've never really liked when games do it by having you win, but say, "Oh, sorry, little Jimmy, you actually lost."
The 501st was starting to get a little sick of this so-called rebellion. In the past, we'd secretly enjoyed putting down a local insurrection or two. They kept the troops sharp and the Empire feared. But these rebels were different. They were organized, they were growing, and they were everywhere.
And they had a lot of
It's almost-
Wookiees.
Massa was a perfect example
It's almost
of how
like they
things
had
started.
a new hope.
TM.
Supposed to go in, wipe out a small band of rebels, and recover
So
some
it's
stolen
time for the Empire to strike back.
encrypted holodisk. Before we knew it, we were nearly overrun by rebel forces, with the holodisk nowhere to be found.
That's a whoopsie.
We'll find it.
All right, men. Lord Vader wants this raid done by the...
So what's this environment,
Objective
Dwibs?
is the comm center, just beyond
Polis
the-
Massa, it's a asteroid base where you can go outside on those tanks, but obviously don't go out there, are you lonesome?
I forget if in the original continuity, this was apparently part of the reason that around the time of the original trilogy, Palpatine had kind of demoted Vader to the point where he was on equal, if not somewhat having to answer to Tarkin by that point.
I think so. Or at the very least it was there to supervise okay. It's
Oh,
all-
I hate those guys, Boffin spies, because they're invisible. You don't see them come. You can just barely tell by by a little shape until it's too late half the time.
So these are the many Boffins that gave their
yes,
lives.
clearly.
If our intelligence is right. Along the way, we'll find a rebel...
The scene at the meeting where the new guy gets almost choked, it's because he's basically fresh blood and everything. Tarkin, as you've noticed, still has a layer of respect slash fear towards Vader, knows how to not step over his toes, so maybe it was just a thing that the Emperor had sent him to make sure everything was going fine without having to, impose his presence too much.
So, okay, when it comes to the original trilogy before we got the expanded material, the idea was that Vader and Tarkin were technically equals, but Tarkin definitely had to, navigate around Vader's mannerisms, essentially.
Especially because Tarkin had the title Grand Moff, which is the equivalent of, big dick general guy, which is something that gets
Yeah.
reprised in what the fuck? Which is something that gets reprised in stuff like The Mandalorian, with of course Moff Gideon. But
yes.
while Vader instead had only the title of, given to a Sith. So maybe they wanted to give distinction between politician, political military leader, and force user.
You can definitely tell that in the original trilogy, I don't think the Emperor had even been planned, so for all intents and purposes, as far as we were aware, Vader and Tarkin were like the faces of the Empire,
That
essentially.
is true
Tarkin
because,
was the one killed.
remember, the original script for the Star Wars, when the trilogy was supposed to be just one big movie, did not really have the figure of the Emperor. Instead, it had a fragmentation of the leaders, where Vader was like two characters.
Oh yeah, and then nice little bit of detail. Whenever you've got a important thing to get back to the base, the AI will automatically have your fellow troopers surround you so that you can get it there safely. But yeah, we got to defend this bit until if they are the plans, get sent back to our main ship.
Or 2 minutes.
But yeah, no, like, it's interesting to imagine back in the day where the idea would have been that Vader was just one of the top dogs. Again, I get that was part of the idea. Probably
stay out my way, you idiots!
You're my way, sir.
That was probably part of the idea of Episode 4, have one half of the big two die, Tarkin, and have Vader be, shall we say, kept in a somewhat undefined position. Albeit hurling through space, but hey, easy to recover if we want him to survive for the sequel.
And the inspiration for one of the best Robot Chicken sketches in the entirety of the show.
Oh god, Robot Chicken just almost every Star Wars skit is a slam dunk with them. So much so that even Lucas was like, okay, fine, you guys can make specials of it, essentially, with his blessing and everything.
It also helps that Seth MacFarlane has way too much enjoyment having to voice Palpatine.
Yes, he's great as that. I love that they also got back a lot of the actors to reprise their roles for the characters in the most part.
Was it mainly Billy D. Williams?
They got Billy D. Williams. They also got back Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill.
Not Harrison Ford.
Well, no. Again, unless there's a fat paycheck for Harrison Ford, will not do that. I don't blame him.
I do think Harrison Ford maybe hates the role a little too much, but I can kind of get his grievances with Han Solo. Ironically, he's like the opposite with Indiana Jones. He apparently loves that role to the point where, again, he sometimes was taking work away from the stunt actors during those films.
I mean, again, sometimes an actor doesn't particularly care or doesn't like the role that they're given, and they're just there for the money. Like, it depends on also what kind of attitude they have, depending also on this. AKA, for example, Alfred Molina for Spider-Man No Way Home. He doesn't particularly care about the role of Doc Ock and everything, but the paycheck was good enough. So.
Wait, when did the rebels when they took the Death Star plans, when did they have time to get a data bank that they could use to eavesdrop on ship-to-ship communications?
Okay, if I recall correctly, that may have been explained in the expanded material, possibly.
I don't remember that.
And look, and I'm not even kidding, like, when we say expanded material, audience, we do mean there was a ton of lore added to both the original and prequel.
I think back in the day, what was considered deliberately non-canon were the original Marvel comics run that were released in between movies because they were just, literal feeling material that did not have any basis and were just there to tell some stuff that the characters did, but obviously had to be ignored when a new movie had to be released.
A large group of rebels being outsmarted by
a single stormtrooper.
By one stormtrooper.
Or
it's Gary, the stormtrooper from the Robot Chicken sketches.
Or what? I forgot if it was DC, the one that had the original license for the Star Wars comic. The first one that they got, basically.
I think both DC and Marvel have had turns with Star Wars.
Dark Horse held the license for the most part before the Disney buyout.
Alright, so we're gonna get out of there now, but first we have to take the hangar.
Coolio.
There's an alternate reality out there where Disney did not buy the franchise, and IDW eventually got the license for the comics and got to the Star Trek Star Wars crossover.
IDW really do seem to be growing to be like the third of Big Three of comics and whatnot.
Well, not really considering recent events, but still.
Yeah, but okay, that aside, like, I mean, granted, maybe it's Image that are closest to the Big Three, but the idea is like, well, IDW do seem to be that comic company you go to first if you can't get Marvel or DC. Especially with what IDW's been getting under their belts.
These aren't the plans you're looking for.
Yeah.
So yeah, they didn't have the Death Star plans, but we have got an idea where they may have gone.
At the very least, we
captured ourselves a new base.
Even though the Polis Massa raid was only a partial success, we finally had a lead on the whereabouts of the Death Star plans, which suited the 501st just fine.
Gee, I wonder what that ship is.
Hmm.
All right, so join us in the next part where we tackle something more familiar that we see than the movies.
See ya.
See you
Bye.
then.